Hello again, everyone. I'm Dennis McCarthy with Upper Allegheny Health System and Olean General Hospital, welcoming you to another edition of Inside Olean General Hospital, a news and information program about the services we provide to the community and educational programs for you. Today, our guest is Gail Bagazzoli, who is our Vice President for Quality with Upper Allegheny Health System, Olean General, and Bradford Regional Medical Center. And today we're going to discuss quality issues in healthcare, safety, hand hygiene, a lot of different factors which go into keeping our patients safe. Gail, welcome.
Thank you, Dennis. Thanks for having me.
I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about generally patient safety, culture, and quality. Quality and safety in the hospital business these days, and any day, is of prime concern, is it not?
It is truly a prime concern. We've taken initiatives over the past few years, at least 4 years, to promote some quality and safety programs within the organization, in particular to prevent harm. And what we've done, we've tried to engage all our employees and look at our processes and systems in place and to get them in order so that we can prevent harm for our patients.
You know, people might think that, well, that should come naturally. Quality and safety should come naturally in any business or any healthcare setting. But it's really a multidisciplinary process, and it involves an awful lot of moving parts. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that are done here and at our hospital in Bradford to reduce harm, to reduce patient safety issues, and to increase quality in both of our hospitals. So why don't we start with some of the things that we do here, what we call establishing this culture, the culture of safety. Some of the things that how we go about doing this.
What we've done, we've developed a culture of safety statement that was put together 3-4 years ago, and we post it throughout the organization. You'll see it in all our elevators and in various departments. And what it does is remind the employees to think about patient safety at all times. It should be the first thing they think about when they come to work and the last thing they think about when they go home. Along with that culture of safety statement, we've put together some safety champions. We have approximately 60 safety champions at Olean General Hospital. We have approximately 40 at Bradford. What we've done, we've put them through special training. The Safety Champion program is a multidisciplinary group of employees who show a general interest in quality and safety. They want to be leaders within the organization, especially within their departments.
We're going to meet some of them later in our show. We've brought some of them here today, both from Bradford Regional Medical Center and here at Olean General, to meet us, and we can get to know them a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit more about our safety champions in the next segment. We have some internal programs here that are basically set up to create extra measures in quality and safety. Let's talk about a few of them. We've got one called Stop the Line. Right. Would you want to explain that for us?
Yes, Stop the Line is a program, it's a patient safety alert program, which allows the employees, whenever they see an act that is possibly could result in harm of a patient, it gives them the authority, the autonomy to go up to another coworker or a visitor and stop politely and say, can we step back before we go in a patient room, or can we just take a moment so we can go over and say, for instance, this is an isolation room. You need to put personal protective equipment on. If they see someone going in the room without ignoring the sign to put personal protective equipment on, we want them to use Stop the Line, which is very nicely go up to the another employee or a visitor and say, let me review this program with you. There is personal protective equipment here to go on before you enter this room. So that Stop the Line actually came from a manufacturer company called Toyota Production Systems, and they use that on the production line in Toyota, and it's been implemented in hospitals for about 15 years now. We've been using it for a while, and it does give the employees autonomy to prevent patient harm. It's a system used to prevent patient harm.
So we adopted something from the automotive business.
Yes, we did.
And applied it to healthcare.
We work with people. People make mistakes, so they want people to understand that we're here to help each other.
And anyone can speak up.
Anyone can speak up.
It doesn't have to be a doctor speaking up or
it's our environmental service people, it's our lab staff, the nurses. anybody's trained to speak up for patient safety.
We've got another one, which speaking of speaking up, let's talk a little bit about our patient speak up program. You can't see it here, but this is a little piece that's given out to all our patients and visitors when they're when patients admitted to the hospital. But talk about speak up. What are we asking people to do?
We decided when we were putting these programs in place and looking at our older programs and bringing them more up to speed, we said we need to get the patients involved. And the best literature out there now is the patients and visitors and family members or caregivers need to be involved when you're in the hospital. So we now give a handout during the admission process to our patients and their families, and it tells them how they can help to keep themselves safe while they're a patient in the hospital. And not just at Olean and Bradford, but any hospital that you go to. It reminds the patients and their family members to wash their hands before going in a patient room and when they come out of a patient room. It reminds the patient that, you know, they're going to ask your name and date of birth many times because we always want to make sure we check 2 forms of identification when
We're going to be annoying?
We're going to be annoying.
Okay, we're going to be annoying and asking that information just to let you know.
We want you to know that when you have a line in your body, like a catheter in your bladder, or an intravenous, a line that goes into your vein or in your artery, we want you to remind the doctor, when can I take it out? Because any line that goes in a body can cause an infection. So we're here to decrease hospital-acquired infections as well. There's a statement that says, remind you to bring your slippers, your non-skid shoes, and your hearing aids, because we want you to be able to listen and communicate well as a hospital patient so you understand what's happening.
So again, we get into areas, you mentioned infection control. People can get infections in a hospital or in any setting. Hospitals are kind of vulnerable places for infection only because people come in and they're already sick. But talk a little bit about antibiotics and how we've gotten some good marks recently because of a program that we're working with called antibiotic stewardship to reduce the unnecessary use of antibiotics. But what's the problem with antibiotics?
Antibiotics are used too much in this country. Patients have a virus and they want to be on an antibiotic. They think the only way they're going to get better is to take an antibiotic. And what has happened over the years is that the germs, also known as microorganisms, have actually grown resistant to the germ itself, and hence they don't work anymore. So what we've tried to do over the past few years is to hold off on antibiotic use, to make sure that we have our culture back and that we're giving the right antibiotic for the right germ that's growing. We also convert intravenous antibiotics to be taken by mouth sooner than later. So again, it helps with breaking down and causing less resistance.
So antibiotics, people could say, they learn or they get smart or something happens where you use one for a while and then there's a resistance, and that we read a lot about that and see it on TV how certain antibiotics just don't work anymore, and it's a constant challenge to find out what works and what doesn't. But we have to be careful with too many is bad.
Too many is bad. Okay. So, and there aren't that many newer antibiotics coming out on the market. So what they're finding is the organisms live and they get smarter and they replicate, they grow. And as they grow, they build the resistance up to the current antibiotics, so they don't work anymore.
So we have to be constantly trying to stay ahead of it for the benefit of the patients. Hand hygiene. We spend a lot of time on that. Talk to people about what we do and then what they should do.
Right. What we do with hand hygiene, we have wash-in, wash-out technology, meaning that we tell everyone that they need to wash in, wash out before they go in and out of a patient's room. We have actually our safety champions and trained, we call them secret shoppers, are out there in the units where they monitor not only physicians and nurses, but all staff going in and out of the room to make sure that they're washing their hands. We stress the importance of that with our patients and our visitors. There are signs in the rooms. Actually, the speak up signs are in the patient rooms, and that's one of the first things that you'll see on the speak up is the importance to make sure before anybody touches you or in the surroundings in your room is to wash their hands.
And you may be reminded if you're a visitor in a hospital and you forget, someone may tap you on the shoulder or just say, hey, would you mind washing your hands before you? And this should be done at home.
At home, and it's not even with soap and water. We have in all the rooms, we have the alcohol sanitizer in all the rooms, the foam, and it's also outside all the rooms. You'll see it everywhere in the hospital. So we're also advocating the use of the hand sanitizer as well.
One of the other areas that we talk about is cleanliness within the facility itself, and we take extraordinary measures to promote cleanliness in the facility. Our housekeeping department, for instance, does a wonderful job, environmental services, in keeping our places clean. We talk a little bit about some of the technology we're using. We're going to show people our Clorox ultraviolet unit in a minute. Can you talk about what that unit does?
Yes. I want to make sure that when you see this robot, we call it a robot, they actually have names. And
there are two here.
There are two here. We have two in Olean, we have one in Bradford. And what it actually does, after environmental services, our housekeepers go in and clean the room, they bring in an ultraviolet light. And the ultraviolet light, it's ultraviolet C, it permeates in the room for about 8 to 10 minutes, and it kills all the rest of the germs left over on the surfaces. So we're doing double protection and double cleaning of the room to eradicate, get rid of all the germs in the room on the surfaces.
The unit actually disrupts the DNA of the microorganisms, from what I understand, and that basically breaks the chain and they die. They
certainly do, and it can kill most all organisms that we see in our community.
The other thing is, and again, we'll show this in a few minutes, we've had some really kind of neat carts, cleaning carts. You know, people say, what's so special about a cleaning cart that goes around from floor to floor?
This is called an XRO cart. It's right behind me, and it actually has attachments that will go in and vacuum the room, clean the room with different hoses and brushes. And what happens after the cleaning, the attachments come off and they go into a compartment on the cart. And in that compartment, there's ultraviolet light technology. So it actually will clean the germs off the attachments.
Is there anything else that we missed?
I think we've covered everything. We have a lot of processes and systems in place. We continually manage quality and safety. We have daily huddles on all the departments, and their first topic is quality and safety. And it's a effort that has to be done by all employees, medical providers, our patients, and our visitors.
So it's a never-ending program. It's kind of a race without a finish. We're always working to improve the quality, improve processes, and also with communications. We've done some really interesting things with communications, especially for those who don't speak English or are deaf or hearing impaired. We have a program called Stratus, and we just spend a minute talking about that. We're going to show that equipment as well here in a minute.
Yeah. Stratus is a communication tool. So if we have patients that are deaf or patients that speak Spanish, because those are our two populations that we see in Cattaraugus County, we have an iPad that's connected to a pole that actually we can log in and get 150 different languages, including a certified sign language interpreter. And it's a live person on the other end that talks back and forth, because one of the key things for patient safety and to prevent harm is for the patient and family to understand what kind of care they're giving. And if they have different languages than English or they're deaf, we now have a system that can communicate their primary language with them.
So it's just another piece to make it easier to communicate with patients, yes, which in the end is essential to promoting their own quality and safety while they're patients with us.
For sure. We want to make sure that they understand what's going on as well.
Gail, thank you for being with us. We're going to be back in a minute and we're going to talk to some of our safety champions, and we're also going to look at some of the equipment Gail just talked about. We'll be back in a minute. Thanks for being with us, Gail.
Thank you.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Dennis McCarthy here again with Gail Bagazzoli from Quality. And we said we would come back and talk to some of our safety champions. Gail, before we do that, talk about, there's about a dozen or so safety champions with us today, but there are a lot more, aren't there?
We have about 60 safety champions in Olean and 40 safety champions in Bradford. And again, they're a multidisciplinary group of employees who show leadership ability within their department, and they're there to prevent harm for our patients and do some surveillance. So they do a great job.
The eyes and ears of our organization here today. Thanks for being with us, everybody. I'm going to go down the line, and I'd like each of you to introduce yourself and let us know where you work in our hospitals.
Hi, I'm Nina Parker, and I'm a concierge at Olean General Hospital.
Hi, I'm Aaron. They call me Elvis from the storeroom down there.
Can't imagine why they call you Elvis.
I know, can't figure it out. I'm the head receiver on the dock, and I bring the supplies.
And you are?
I'm Joanne York. I'm a unit clerk on 3B.
Glad to be with you.
Diane Balaban. I work patient access here at Olean.
Very good. Stephanie?
Stephanie Whitaker, and I'm food service attendant in the CAF.
And Joanne Ball.
In the Human Resources Department here at the Olean General.
And you are?
Sarah Yule in the Health Information Management Department.
And you?
Hi, I'm Deb Corbett, and I work in clinical documentation.
Thank you.
Tiffany Lanza, and I'm an LPN at Delavan Health Center.
Ooh, all the way up in Delavan, about 40 miles north.
Yes.
Great community.
Hi, I'm Todd McDonald, and I work in the amazing outpatient dialysis clinic.
Amazing outpatient dialysis. And all these people are amazing folks. And all the way from Bradford Regional Medical Center.
I'm Diane Carnegie, Environmental Services.
I'm Patrick McCord. I'm a concierge at BRMC.
And anyone who goes to Bradford Regional Medical Center will see Patrick or one of the other concierges with a smile on their face every day for every patient and every visitor. Thank you very much for being with us, everyone. On three, can we say safety champions? 1, 2, 3.
Safety champions.
Thank you for being with us, and thank all of you for being with us today. We'll be back again soon. And welcome again, everyone. During our show today, we've been talking a lot about hygiene, germs, and keeping hospitals clean and cleanly, and the efforts that we make here to make patient quality and safety our prime objective. And with us today is Raphael Moore, who is the Environmental Services Director at Olean General Hospital, and he's going to talk about this cart, which is no ordinary cart. A cleaning cart is not just necessarily a cleaning cart. Raphael, welcome to the show. Talk to us about what this unit does.
Thank you, Dennis. The cart that we have here is the Xanatos XRO cart, which stands for Xanatos Room Optimization. The cart is specially engineered to help kind of promote the cleanliness of the hospitals that we do serve. There's a few different perks about the cart that I'd like to show, but I'll mention them first. The first one will be the vacuuming system. We have a system within Xanatos that's proprietary where we actually vacuum the hard surfaces and the carpeted areas of the floor rather than the standard traditional dust mopping or sweeping. It actually removes the dust and dirt from the environment, and it's actually filtered and makes the air being exhausted back into the room a lot cleaner than what's going into it. Another nice perk of the cart is the UV system that it has inside. The UV system is designed for the attachments of the cart. So the different attachments that go in the vacuum, when we do clean them physically, we wipe them down and then we put them inside the cart where we can actually have them be UV rayed, which does a second level of sanitizing for the cart. And then lastly, the other thing that we have is just our microfibers that we use. We do designate them by color, blue and green. Green is designed for general cleaning tasks, such as the actual room, and the blue is designated to show the patient that we're using this towel only in their bathroom, so they get a sense of comfort knowing that the same towel was not used in both places.
And Raphael, just to be clear, these go under a UV light between every room that's cleaned.
Every room, yes, sir.
So that means the same cart is not used uncleaned from room to room. There's a situation where these tools get sanitized between each and every room. Raphael, thank you for being with us today. This is an amazing piece of equipment and great effort by you and your staff.
Thank you very much, Dennis.
That'll do it for our program this time. This is Dennis McCarthy with Upper Allegheny Health System and Olean General Hospital saying thanks for being with us. Have a great day.